Klaviyo, look, it's a great tool, but they do focus on the wrong things as well. When you kind of listen even to some of their product experts, they often advise brands to send to engage 30. And it's flawed. It's a flawed framework. I think it depends on the niche as well. What I see often is a lot of fashion brands seem to think that creating a lot of segments, like someone that has viewed a particular collection and blend that with email metrics, and you have like maybe 4 or 5,000 people in that segment, sending to that audience, they think that makes them have better results.
Okay.
In fact, I think you spend a lot of time crafting a campaign, writing the copy, doing the design, whatever. That's a lot of input, a lot of resources you put into that, just so you can send it to like a couple of thousand people that have viewed a red dress within the last 30 days. It will 100% not give you the results that you want. So what I often advise brands is just to, regardless of the niche that they're in, just adapt a broad segmentation strategy. So the goal is just to cast the widest net possible on your profiles, because that's just going to give you the best output to your work in doing the actual campaigns. It's really funny because I always say a low unsubscribe rate doesn't pay the bills. And, I get so many clients that are coming to me as like, hey, like I looked in Klaviyo benchmarks and the unsubscribe rate is like 0.8. Like they gave us a poor score. What should we do about that? And what I tell them is like, look, we drove a 40% increase year on year on email revenue by sending to more people, by casting that wider net on our profiles. Sure, our unsubscribe rate has increased and we're losing more people than you lost, the same period last year. But there's two things that we track, right? Like, first of all is net list growth. So during that month, did we acquire more subscribers than we lost? Are we on a net growth or on a net loss? And did we actually drive more revenue? Who cares if our subscriber rate is 0.8? At the end of the day, if our deliverability is fine, so, we're kind of protecting our domain reputation by not having a lot of spam rates and, dropping our domain reputation on various inbox providers, then that's fine. The industry needs a shift. I think this is not 2002 anymore. Consumers receive more and more emails every single year. Like, it's in a constant growth. There's more and more brands coming every year that are also doing email marketing. I don't think the benchmark of 0.2% unsubscribe rates still holds. I think that needs to go up, given the amount of aggression that we have in consumer marketing nowadays. So yeah, there needs to be a shift. And Klaviyo, look, it's a great tool, but they do focus on the wrong things as well. When you kind of listen even to some of their product experts, they often advise brands to send to engage 30. And it's flawed. It's a flawed framework to say.
Engage 30 meaning people who've engaged in those 30 days.
Yeah. So essentially clicked within the last 30 days.
Yeah.
And maybe you kind of combine that with some purchase metrics as well. So high frequency, medium frequency, low frequency. It's really easy to make sure there's no duplicates in between them. So a simple tactic, when you build your segment in Klaviyo, you can look at the last 180 days. That could be your high frequency segment. You can send to those people, with the high frequency almost all the time. All your campaigns can go to them. Medium frequency can go 181 to 270 days looking into the past. So, click within that period. And then what you can do is you can add an end criteria to it, which tells the segment not to take into consideration that people that clicked within the last 180 days.
Yeah.
So what happens is that you kind of build these unique buckets that you can go further and further into the past, and then you can send with different frequency going to all of them. Hopefully that sort of makes sense. There is a fix for that if you really want. Like, obviously personalization, we know that it drives more profit, it drives more results, but you shouldn't send 46 different campaigns to 46 different segments. You should send one campaign to one large segment, and the content adapts with dynamic properties to those 46 different segments. Yeah. And I think that's the future. This is a feature that exists within Klaviyo currently. It's super underutilized. It's been improved in recent years where you can actually do it quite easily. You don't have to it used to be with these strings of numbers and letters that was really tough to actually come up with. But yeah, I think that should be a strategy most brands should adapt. Sending to non-openers. This might be quite controversial within the email marketing space because I feel like everyone does that. Everyone sends to non-openers to capture that little extra revenue. But I want to challenge that in the sense of it's flawed. Like, why would you send to a negative intent signal? You're sending to people that haven't opened your campaign. We work with this painting brand, and as long as I can remember, we've always been collecting why they want to paint. You know, is it for a date night? Is it for a hobby? Is it for just a whatever, like a paid party, stress relieving? We have about 6 main data points, and we have been collecting that upon sign up and after purchase on the Shopify thank you page for the last 6 years. We have so much data. When we send the campaign, we use that exact feature that I mentioned earlier to show the right message. You know, like, hey, you know, Valentine's Day paint, you know, whatever, like buy your painting kit, or, you know, host a Valentine's Day paint party, because they can also paint with it. So like, again, that's just an interesting way how you can still use hyper segmentation, but not really. The other thing I wanted to mention is, I think there's this whole premise that you should be sending a lot of campaigns to multiple segments, but I think it's just, when you look at the sort of how Klaviyo works, you have campaigns and flows. The way I like to look at it is like, your campaigns are essentially the big funnel of sending traffic back to the side. And your email flows are actually the mini funnels that should be hyper segmented, right? You should have a browse abandonment that sends a path specifically to prospect 0 orders, and then to existing customers, and then within that you can have multiple paths based on what they viewed or what they purchased. That, you know, that's the place where you should probably invest a lot of your time and money, because that just gives you results over the years. Another challenge, another problem I see a lot of brands doing in terms of segmentation is sending to non-openers. This might be quite controversial within the email marketing space, because I feel like everyone does that. Everyone sends to non-openers to capture that little extra revenue. But I want to challenge that in the sense of, it's flawed. Like, why would you send to a negative intent signal? You know, you're sending to people that haven't opened your company. Why not just one more? Why not send to everyone that has opened and received the email but hasn't purchased? Because at the end of the day, that's the goal. The goal is not for them to open. The goal is for them to purchase. That's it. A lot of brands leave money on the table by doing resends to non-opens instead of doing resends to their entire engaged segment.
It actually, that also harms your deliverability, because the way a lot of the inbox placement works with email apps now is that, you know, if you just have low engagement rates for email, which obviously non-openers by definition do, then overall, Google or Yahoo or whatever the email service provider is, they will see your emails as less interesting, and they won't get placed so well in the inbox. So I think, actually, you say, don't reduce this too much. You say, trying to send again to people who didn't engage. That's just basically encouraging people to, you know, mark as spam, or just, for example, the email deliverability sort of middlemen seeing emails as irrelevant and spammy.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's exactly right. And they can, you know, they can use the deliverability tab within their ESP to track that quite accurately. Like, you know, within recent months now, Apple has, added even more strict features to kind of how marketing emails are being placed in their inbox. Same for Hotmail. You can see what your open rate and click rate on your engagement is per inbox provider. So if you're doing really poorly on one, you can exclude it, like inbox provider equals Hotmail, exclude that from your engaged segment, and then don't send to those people for a while. That should boost your deliverability. So there's ways to do things best practice, but still focus on revenue and profit, as opposed to just having those high open rates or whatever.
Clean dashboard.